Hello, I'm Ilana Goldman.
And I'm Gabriel Williams.
And we are the artists in residence at Glacier National Park for June 2022.
And we are very excited to be here.
Why don't I just tell you a little bit about myself? I am a professor at Florida State University, an associate professor, and I teach ballet, and I also teach teaching methods to the seniors, and I choreograph. And my background is mostly in ballet, but I trained in ballet all through my early years and through high school, and then I went to the Juilliard School where I studied both ballet and modern dance. And so my choreography and movement vocabulary is influenced by both ballet and modern and contemporary dance. And I got interested in filmmaking actually only very recently, about 9 or 10 years ago. Gabe and I made our first dance film together. Mm-hmm. And this film that we'll be making here in Glacier, it will be our fourth film that we've made together. And I'll let you talk a little bit about your background.
Okay, thank you. So I also was a professional ballet dancer mostly, although I danced for some contemporary companies. There really is no such thing as a ballet company, strictly speaking, anymore. All ballet companies do a large amount of contemporary work, so both Ilana and I did a fair amount of ballet, contemporary, and some other things too. In graduate school, before we had made that first film together, I learned a little more about filmmaking. I took a bunch of dance filmmaking courses and became enamored of the little screen, and also the big screen too. But time-based media, filmmaking, is an amazing way to capture dance. It's for a concert dancer, we're used to performing on the proscenium stage, and so that's a very specific environment, and the audience is in a particular place. They always kind of stay there, but with the camera, you can move the viewer's eye around, and the director and the filmmaker, cinematographer, get to choose how the art form is experienced, is consumed, and how it affects the viewer. There's much more power in filmmaking, in my humble opinion, than in traditional theater using the proscenium stage. So exploring that with Ilana, and then also on my own during grad school, was exciting, intriguing. It's still exciting to me, and this opportunity here has been a wonderful extension of that kind of curiosity, and an amazing opportunity to explore a different, unique environment, and to bring that environment to the viewer through our particular aesthetic.
Yes, just to go off of some of what he said, I think we met dancing professionally mm-hmm. in ballet company, in Oakland Ballet, and then we continued, and we've danced at a number of companies together. But dancing outdoors is very different than dancing on stage. And to be able to bring my love of nature together with my love of dance has been really special. And to be able to do it with Gabe, because we got to dance professionally in companies and perform in theaters, and now we're getting to have this other way of working together and sharing our love of nature and dance together and with others. And I agree that it's really powerful to the medium of film. You can really dictate what the viewer is looking at, and you have a little bit more control, which is interesting. And as a choreographer, I found that working improvisationally has been really successful in this medium, and mostly because when you're working in different environments, to be able to react in real time to the space has been really rewarding and fruitful. And so we've been working ever since the beginning. Our 4 films are mostly improvisationally based as far as the generation of movement vocabulary. And it does allow me to have more of a connection to the space and to feel like I'm having a real authentic experience, which for me is very rewarding, and also allows me to continue dancing, because I'm almost, in a week I'll be 45 years old, and generally as a performer, especially in concert dance forms, you get to a certain age and you don't perform anymore, mostly because you're doing dancing that is what somebody else is dictating that you do. And in this process, I'm able to dictate what I do. And so it allows me to continue performing in a way. And so that's really special for me. Should we talk about this particular project?
I think so.
Okay, so this project came about because I had an interest. I'm very interested in sustainability, and so is Gabe. Interested in sustainability and the environment, and I was really coming to terms with the fact that I, as an individual, even despite my efforts to not make a huge impact, negative impact on the environment, I know that I do in so many ways. And I was noticing in our the corner of our kitchen, we have all of our recycling, and the plastic recycling was piling up quite a bit. And I made some comment, I think one day, like, oh, we should make something out of this. And I thought, oh, maybe it would be cool to make a costume out of this plastic. So that was just a passing thought. But a friend of ours worked for an organization that was advocating for awareness of the impact of plastics on the environment. And I was having a conversation about my own personal impact, but then also he talked about how important it is to not just be concerned with your own individual impact, but the greater impact of organizations and corporations, and that there's a lot more that you can do beyond just doing what you think is best for yourself, but what can you do in a broader way. And so I started thinking about, it would be great to share this idea through art and through dance, and maybe through dance film, but also I do want to make more efforts to influence corporations and organizations to lessen their use of plastics and just their negative impact in general on the environment. So I decided that I would love to do a project like this, and then we applied for this artist in residency, and we got it, and so we got to make this film. So it's very exciting, and the reason Glacier really spoke to us is because glaciers, because of the fact that climate change and humans are impacting the planet and climate change is a result of human impact, and the glaciers here are melting because of climate change, and so it's just a really immediate example of human impact on the environment. And also Glacier is pretty much one of the most beautiful places on Earth, so of course we wanted to come here. So yeah, do you want to talk?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of really important things you said there, that this project deals with both the personal impact of our choices and our lifestyles that are very difficult to change and get away from, and we can do what we can as individuals to try and change, and that's wonderful. We should all do that. But to try and bring awareness to more people and to try and advocate for change on a grander scale is what doing something like making a film allows us to do. That's another thing that, in terms of the impact of performing arts, performing in a theater is wonderful, but it's just for that one performance in that one theater with that one audience. Making something that is able to be disseminated online, you can theoretically reach millions of people with the same amount of effort, or maybe a little bit more. So this project has the potential to bring awareness in a way that also is beautiful. It's very difficult to have a contentious conversation about something that's a difficult subject with someone who doesn't want to hear it. But if you can approach that in a different way, sometimes people are more willing to see these greater important truths that we all need to take a look at that are difficult. And so hopefully in some way this film will do that. Will open more people's eyes to the issues that we all are dealing with, that we all are part of, and that will be important to all of us for the sustainability of our human culture and the planet. So that's a really important thing, for sure.
Can I say one?
Please.
One thing that was really interesting, what really interested me was this idea of showing what would the Earth look like if the Earth could dance. What would, how would she be feeling right now about human impact? So that was something that I was that we're trying to convey with this film, but also how do I feel personally as a human being making this impact? So I'm playing with that. I actually am the performer in the film. So Gabe is behind the camera and I am the performer, and I'm wearing this plastic dress, so a costume made out of the plastic that I personally generated over a 4-month period. And normally I recycle my plastic, but I used it for, repurposed for the costume. But what was really interesting to me was how can I both embody the earth and myself? And that's what's so great about the medium of dance, is that it's abstract in a way. So our film is not meant to be a linear narrative. It's an abstracted story. And so that has been really fascinating, to embody both the earth and myself and kind of play with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Glacier has proven to be the perfect environment in which to kind of portray that. Again, as Ilana was saying, the human impact of our activities on the increase in average temperatures on the planet is pretty much not up for debate, and it's easy to see that effect here in Glacier. The plastic trash crisis, for the most part, is not as visible here, although unfortunately we have gathered some trash as we've been walking around. Whenever we go anywhere and there's trash on the ground, we pick it up. And interestingly, besides Ilana being kind of the star of the film, there's an appearance by a piece of trash that we collected in the park in the very final shot. We think what's going to be the final shot. We're not totally done yet, but even with the plastic trash crisis not being quite as obviously apparent here in Glacier, it's still a wonderful environment, knowing that this park has been deeply impacted by humans, and plastic trash is just another way that we're impacting the environment. Although in some of the most important ways, that impact is less visible, because unfortunately, as Ilana was educating me, most of us know this, plastic doesn't really ever break down. It doesn't biodegrade. It just breaks down into smaller and smaller pieces, but it's still there. And so these microplastics, which end up in large quantity in the ocean, being consumed by creatures, are one of the biggest issues facing our planet, actually, currently. It's a major issue. And if it were more visible, perhaps it would receive more attention, but part of the problem is that it's not as visible because it's so small, and yet because of that it's so important that we deal with it, because it is and seems to be all pervasive, or nearly so at this point.
Yeah, plastic is made to last forever. That's what it's made for. And a lot of, I think a third of plastic is only used once and then thrown away. So single-use plastic is one of the biggest issues. Also, only less than 10% worldwide of plastic that's produced is recycled. So worldwide and also in the US, less than 10%. And what we found is that a lot of people think that they're recycling, they're putting their plastic in the recycling, but it doesn't actually end up getting recycled. So that's another major issue.
Yes, and that it's easy to see how changing as an individual and choosing not to purchase plastic or limit your consumption of plastic, that's wonderful. But if you are a business that's making a choice to switch from a plastic cup to a biodegradable one, or a plastic bag to a biodegradable one, and you have 1,000 customers a day or 100 customers a day, and week after week, month after month, that impact is huge. It's much bigger than what we as individuals do, and so that kind of just comes back to how, as an organization or as consumers, we can help to kind of push things in a direction that is a little bit more sustainable.
Yes, and I think that idea of macro, micro, like what you're doing on the micro level, and then the macro, like what we're doing as a society. It's been interesting being here in Glacier. I've also felt this micro, macro just of the environment itself. There are these unbelievably gorgeous locations with these mountains and the lakes and the rivers, streams and rivers, and that is like this macro. But then also it's just like looking at the raindrops on the cedar leaves, like the small things, or like the little part of the bark of a cottonwood tree or something. So feel like really being here for a long enough that being here, we haven't even been here a month, but it's been such an unbelievable gift to be able to get down to that micro level, to have the time, instead of just going to see the big sites, but to like really appreciate the smaller things, has been wonderful. And also to watch the shift in weather, and to watch the way that the earth adapts, and the changes that happen. And it shows like the earth is so resilient, and nature is just constantly adapting and changing, and it's so resilient. But there's also in the back of my mind, at least, okay, like how long can the earth withstand the onslaught of human destruction, or I hate to say it like that, but I wonder how long can she continue to adapt. I'm hopeful though. I think that she will survive. Maybe we won't. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking about while I'm here.
It's good to be hopeful.
Yeah.